Inside this quiet museum, one figure sleeps beneath the glass, untouched for thousands of years. Yet, under the golden light, her hair still shines, soft, perfect, impossibly alive. How could something so fragile survive the passing of empires? The secret takes us beyond myth and into the realm of science. Each strand of hair is made of keratin, a tough, complex protein built to endure. But keratin alone isn't enough. It needed help from an ancient desert recipe. Natron, a natural salt, wrapped these bodies in a blanket of minerals and dry air. It pulled away every drop of moisture, stopping time itself. And where rot should have begun, chemistry took over. Each molecule of natron shielded the hair, preserving its structure, atom by atom. Even bacteria found no place to live. The desert's dry breath had sealed their fate. So here it remains, not just a relic, but a biological miracle of balance and precision. When scientists compare mummy hair to ours, they find almost no difference. Each strand still carries the shine, the pigment, the story of someone who once lived. And somehow, in this silence, it feels like she never truly left. The glow you see isn't just light, it's memory, refusing to fade. Because every preserved strand is more than biology, it's identity turned timeless. The ancient Egyptians believed the soul could return if the body remained whole. And perhaps that's why they protected it so fiercely. Not from decay, but from being forgotten. What would you want to be remembered by 1,000 years from now? Would it be your words, your creations, or maybe something as simple as a strand of hair? Tell me in the comments, what part of you do you hope endures? And if stories like this spark your curiosity, give this a like and subscribe, because history still whispers waiting to be heard. The ancient Egyptians believed the soul could find its way back if it could still recognize the body it once called back, if it could still recognize the body it's called home. In these murals, you can almost feel that promise. Every golden line drawn to remember what once was human. To them, preservation wasn't about fear of death, it was about protecting identity. Because to be remembered was to live again. They believed even the smallest detail, the curve of hair, the color of skin, could help the soul find its way back. And so, each strand became a bridge between life, memory, and eternity. In the stillness of this tomb, that bridge still glows. But now, the story shifts from sacred belief to modern science. In today's labs, scientists continue what the ancients began, the study of preservation itself. Under the microscope, that same hair still tells a story, molecule by molecule. They've discovered traces of salt and natural oils, nature's own seal against time. A process we now call chemical tanning, the perfect shield crafted by desert chemistry. When salt met oil and oil met keratin, the result was a bond that outlived civilizations. And that's why, even after 3,000 years, these strands still shimmer under light. 3 millennia later, science stands in awe of what faith once achieved. Between the tomb and the lab, truth meets wonder, and both sides whisper the same story. A story written not in words, but in the texture of a single preserved hair. Surrounded by tools, scrolls, and silence, the past feels almost alive again. And as centuries swirl together, memory takes shape, looping endlessly, like an unbroken strand. Here lies someone's eternity, quietly resting beneath the sands. Her face still calm, her hair untouched, as if waiting for the next sunrise. 2 worlds, ancient and modern, meeting at a single point of understanding. And maybe that's the real secret. Knowledge and reverence are not opposites, but reflections. So next time you see a mummy with perfect hair, remember, it's not just science preserving history, it's humanity preserving meaning. Far from Egypt, another mystery sleeps beneath the red cliffs of South America. Here lie the Chinchorro mummies, older than the pharaohs, yet bound by the same desire to endure. Their skin painted black, their hair still intact, whispering stories through silence. 2 worlds, Egypt and Chile, never met, yet both found the same secret: preserve the face, preserve the soul. And across time, that idea traveled farther than any empire, from desert to desert, continent to continent. Now it's scientists who kneel over fragments of hair, searching for what memory leaves behind. Inside each strand, the double helix still glows, a fragile blueprint of humanity that refuses to vanish. When we look closer, we're not just studying hair, we're looking at time, folded into protein. A single strand, stretching out into the cosmos. a filament of existence connecting every generation. Hunter, pharaoh, scientist, all linked by the same thread, the will to be remembered. For 5,000 years, that will has never faded, only evolved. Even as bodies crumble, hair stands firm, a small rebellion against time itself. And somehow, in that resilience, we see ourselves, changing faces, but never the essence. From tombs to salons, the ritual continues. We still cut, shape, and care for what once defined the ancients. Maybe we're not that different after all, just using newer mirrors. Every era, every culture, all telling the same story through hair, art, and time. If that connection surprises you, maybe hit like or share what you think below. I'd love to know how you see it. As light returns to the tomb, it feels almost poetic, like history exhaling. The dust rises, each particle glowing like strands of memory escaping to the sky. And somewhere out there, under the same sun, we continue what they began. We seek meaning. We preserve stories. And we hope someone, someday, remembers. Because in the end, we're all just trying to be remembered. And maybe that's why these ancient hairs still shine. They carry that same longing within. So now, when you read the words, the real reason ancient mummies still have hair, remember, it was never just chemistry. It was love disguised as science.
Hit subscribe and tap the bell. Support this channel. Don't miss what's coming next.
In the silence of a museum, one question still lingers. Why does this fragile strand still hold on? As the world moves past its glass case, it doesn't whisper secrets of death. It reminds us of persistence, of something that endures when everything else fades. Because when you look into a mirror, brushing your own hair, you're not that different from those ancient souls, just trying to preserve a piece of yourself. For millennia, we've used oils, rituals, and now science, all chasing the same illusion, the same quiet rebellion against time. In our modern labs, we call it eternal youth, but it's the same heartbeat, just wearing neon lights instead of gold. Every photo, every post, every preserved moment online. Isn't that our new kind of mummification? A digital way of saying, don't forget me. Maybe we've never stopped embalming ourselves. We just changed the tools. From linen and resin to pixels and memory. And maybe that's okay, because whether carved in stone or stored in the cloud, we're all reaching for the same light. The hope that someone, somewhere, will remember. And when you look at the stars or the mirror, you might feel it too. That quiet thread between life and eternity. So tell me, if you could preserve one thing forever, what would it be? Write it in the comments. I'd love to read your answer. And if this made you think, leave a like. Subscribe for more stories that stretch between science and the soul. The sun returns, touching the tomb with gold as if time itself exhales. My shadow joins the ancient walls, and for a moment, I feel part of their story. A single strand drifts through the air, light, weightless, eternal. It lands on an ancient scroll, the past and the present meeting on paper. Drawings turn to data, ink becomes light, and still, the pattern stays the same. Science names it keratin, but what it truly holds is memory. One strand connects the mummified and the living, the old and the new, all bound by the wish to be remembered. Listen closely. Even laughter carries that same echo of survival, and somewhere beyond, the galaxies swirl, repeating the same spiral, the same shape of a strand of hair. In that vastness, we realize we're made of the same dust that once wrapped the pharaohs. The stars look back, and they remember us. On this sand, under this sky, life and death finally share one horizon. I see both, the ancient and the now, reflected in a single glance. And in that reflection, I understand that nothing truly disappears, it only changes form. Every step we take writes another footprint in the sand of time, and even when the light grows harsh, it's proof that a new day always follows. Because death and life were never enemies. They've always been partners in the dance of remembering. We live, we fade, but some parts of us stay. And maybe that's what it means to be human, to leave something gentle behind. So tell me, what would you want to leave behind? If a thought just came to you, share it below. I read them all. And if this story made you think, subscribe not just for more mysteries, but for more reminders of what it means to last. Because even in death, Life always leaves traces.
Hit subscribe and tap the bell. Support this channel, don't miss what's coming next.